Howdy ho everybody. So I'm gonna do one final tutorial for the day, and it's not necessarily a question I have been presented with a lot, but it is a question I see pop up over and over and over in a lot of the Tumblr groups that I'm a part of. So what I'm going to show you today, right now, is a trick on how to do a full wrap in vinyl. I'm going to use the silver because it bleeds. I can't really use it with anything else just because these glittery Cricut vinyls bleed, and I can do something with it after I stick it on a cup. So I'll just set it aside, or I'll wrap it and then set it aside until I'm hit with some sort of stroke of genius with an idea of what I can do with it. So what I am coming to this tutorial prepared with is pretty simple. I've got my vinyl. We'll cut that to size. I've got my tumbler. It's a 20-ounce hog skinny. And I have a squirt bottle that's got water and Dawn dish soap. Mine is green because the dish soap that we had was apple scent or something. You don't need a lot, just like a quick, of dish soap in there. And you don't want it real frothy, but you'll want this. So what I'm going to do, and excuse me because we've done 3 tutorials today so far. My workspace is a little messy, and this is just an impromptu one. I was not exactly planning on doing, but here we are. Okay, so I'm gonna take my vinyl. First, let me start off with a straight edge here on this end. I'm gonna cut that so that it's all right. And I'm gonna see if it's big enough to wrap around the cup this way. Oh yeah. All right, so what I'm gonna do then, I'm gonna measure the length of my cup. I'm just gonna ballpark it. I don't want it to be perfect. I'm gonna allow myself a little bit of overhang by about 1 square. So I'm going to go from there down to the bottom of the cup. I'm going to allow an additional square of overhang there as well. So I'm going to cut my vinyl here. Alright, so now how I'm sized. Allow me to move some junk here. So now how I am sized is I've got a little overhang on the back and a little overhang on the top and on the bottom. If you have a contaminated work area, like I often have with just junk and stuff on it, I'm what I consider a good crafter, but I'm a messy crafter. So with that said, there's always crud on my workspace, which means that it will potentially stick to my vinyl on the sticky side, which is going to create a lump. So I would recommend to anybody starting this, get your workspace as clean as you can. You're going to have a few lumps if you don't. I would also start off by recommending don't peel your whole vinyl off the backing at first. Start with prying up a little corner of your vinyl back. See if I'm skilled enough to get this right now. It's been a long day. My tweezers. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna start with a small corner. And I am simply going to peel a little bit at a time. I'm going to fold that over so that I've got, it's easier for me to grab it when the time comes that I'm ready to apply this to my tumbler. All right, what next? Get your water bottle with your dish soap. It's a brand new water bottle, but spray your cup. You don't need a lot, but get it on there. Why, you ask? Why would I want to get it wet? I want my vinyl to stick. Your vinyl will stick. Your vinyl will stick wonderfully, but this will keep it from sticking a little less wonderfully. And what it will do will allow you to more easily peel and remove. So I am going to put this on, roll my vinyl, rub it. All of my bubbles and creases are working themselves out because I have this dish soap beneath and my vinyl is able to move. It's not an earth-shattering, like, oh my gosh, I had no idea kind of tip, but this is one of those where it's like a little light bulb kind of goes on over the top of your head and you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. The principle that I use when doing this is, or where I got this, was window tinting. If you've ever attempted to tint your own windows, you have probably watched a YouTube tutorial, and this is what they do. They utilize dish soap and water so that they can still move their window tint around just enough to get it nice and smooth. So once I've got that on, I want to find my line, and I am going to use the dull end of my blade here. I'm going to push that right up there on it, because I am fitting to next take my razor blade up here to this and cut right on that seam. We're able to stretch it and pull it and eventually seal it back shut. I worry more about getting it straight than perfect, but if you'll notice, guys, that's smooth. Now, just to show you, it's not a fluke deal. I'm not just blowing smoke. I'll show you with some white Oracle. Here, I've got some white Oracle pre-cut into my 12-inch strips because I have this by the roll. And let me get another tumbler. Gonna do the same thing here, just kind of measure it around, figure out where my line is gonna stop. I'm gonna trim it to about out here. Now this white will most likely really show any crinkles, folds. It'll probably show it really well, and you'll truly be able to see how well this process works. And it will cut your vinyl wrapping tumblers down in terms of how long it takes you to do it by a ton. So again, I start by unpeeling just a little bit of the edge. I don't do too much because I don't want to risk anything sticking to the inside of there and contaminating my vinyl. So I'm going to sit that on there just for a minute. Get my handy dandy spray bottle, spray my tumbler, come back, and I am going to stick that on there so it's relatively straight. And it's a simple pull and roll. you need to peel it back up, check that out. It is smooth, it is flawless. Rub your hand up and down it. See, there's some air bubbles in there. I don't know if you can, let me kick this bigger light off. You can see some of these air bubbles that are around in there. Use your hand, run them out. I do have a soft squeegee. Sometimes that's the way to go. Just lift this just a skosh. Give it a nice pull. And just start smoothing. Best part about this is just a simple tug. Takes everything that you want off, everything you want gone. It gets rid of it. Run your bubbles to either the bottom or the top. That's how you will inject all the water, force all the water, all the bubbles out. So that way your vinyl will stick to the cup and it will no longer be resistant to the water and the bubbles. Just keep rotating, pushing, squeegeeing. Push it nice and firm. I can see where I'm overlapped now. I don't know that you'll necessarily be able to see this on all colored vinyls, but I can see it on the white, so I'm going to go ahead and just take advantage of the fact that I can see it. And I'm going to cut my edge. Oh, I might have gone a little bit too far right there. Splice it down here and clear the end so I can peel it off. One of these up high and on low. There we go. It is smooth. It's dirty because I got it dirty. I got a gap. Look at how easily it slides together, and I can fill it. I can pinch that together. And when it dries, it will dry smooth. It will dry intact. Just keep rubbing it. Just keep getting that moisture out. If you have a heat gun, this is a good time to use it. It kind of just helps dry out some of that moisture that's in there. Paper towel is another good one. And these will stay in place a lot better as well once you take your excess vinyl off of the ends here. So we're gonna go ahead and do that real quick. I'm not worrying about getting it perfect on this one, just because this is gonna be my tutorial cup. So don't mind when it's not straight. I usually do most of my finishing perfectionist touches at the end anyhow, after my vinyl is on and completely good to go. On the top, I'm going to be a little more fickle. how I mean by that is I want this to ride on the edge nicely. I'm gonna find the razor blade I keep throwing around like a crazy woman. And I'm going to sit it right on the edge of that cup. And I'm going to let the cup be my guide. And I'm just going to rotate that blade around the top of that cup. And once you've gotten all that extra ick out of the way, all the extra vinyl, just continue rubbing. Rub up, down. Get your mind out of the gutter. We all know what it looks like. What you are essentially trying to do is just force all of that moisture out. Once that moisture is gone, your vinyl will stick. And guys, that is as smooth as a baby's bottom. And look at how easy it was. If I'd taken my time a little bit more and got real wrapped up in my edges, that wouldn't be there. But again, just holding that together. If you were to pinch it together and say electrical tape it overnight while you're letting your moisture dry out of there, or for a few hours, or however long it is until you want to come back to it, either electrical tape or painter's tape, and just pinch it together. And that seam is as good as hidden. I hope this helps. I hope that some of you have found that this is, you know, a little beneficial for you. But already it's starting to get smaller, starting to fill itself in. The vinyl is just a lot easier to work with as long as I've got that little bit of moisture in there. And it won't stay. It will find a way to get out, especially the more you work with it. And you rub it, you like pinch and squeeze and rub that moisture out. Start in the center of your cup and just back and forth, up and down, working that moisture towards the very ends of the cup. You want to force it out, the ends that are open, where it can actually, it has somewhere to go. And then again, you can come back, squeeze it a little bit, and just hold it in place. How I do that, I use painter's tape. As it dries, it will stay. So as you're able to continue to work your bubbles, your lines, or your moisture out, this here is held in place and it's not going anywhere. So it works best, I feel, if you do it top, middle, and bottom. Just hold that seam there and just continue to work that moisture right on out of there. And like my gunky spot there, because I'm sure it's just leftover resin from something somewhere. It cleans up. You know, I might have had a few spots on there at the beginning, but they are now gone. Rubbing alcohol works wonders at cleaning up junk. So that is, if you do the vinyl on your tumblers, a lot, a little, never, regardless of how often you do it, this really is the easiest, most efficient way at doing vinyl on a stainless, well, any type of tumbler. And just keep rubbing. I would rather be working moisture out than going over and over, sticking, unsticking, getting my vinyl dirty from contamination and then having lumps. I would rather be forcing moisture out personally than dealing with contamination and having all those little lumps and bumps that are in there. So as you start getting those bubbles out, start taking your tape off the top, and then you can take it off the middle, then the bottom. But you see how even these up top, these bubbles, they're getting smaller. It's starting to adhere, starting to dry out. And it's gonna be perfect. So, there you go. Notice my top is starting to get smooth on there already. The bumps are getting smaller. The vinyl is starting to, or the moisture underneath is starting to dry out. And it's all just from rubbing. Just rub it. It is quite that simple. And so again, this is how smooth that finishes. No bumps, no bubbles. It's as darn near as you're close to perfect as you can get. So, have at it. Good luck.